All right, what is up? It is December 17th, and I had to do a video lesson because I'm getting so many emails with so many similar questions. I just want to answer them all with one video. Here is KBIO. Um, this is the stock. It was the latest supernova from roughly under $1 a share up to $40 a share. And it traded a little bit today before it got halted, just because it dropped 50% plus because their CEO got arrested. And you have these pictures. This is an article on Benzinga that just got posted. This is one of the interviews I did. I talked with probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 different reporters today. The sad part is that people don't really understand, penny stocks, obviously. That's why my education business is booming. But people don't understand why would he do such things allegedly. He's innocent until proven guilty. But the government alleges, or the FBI, the authorities allege that he did some very nasty stuff, where he's basically, lying about performance of his hedge funds, and then, basically taking other investors' money and paying back original investors who were complaining. Very, very much like Bernie Madoff. And now he's gotten into the whole biotech world. And this is what I basically said. This reporter actually gave me a good quote. Um, and I said this, traders and investors can learn a lot from this. That's pretty much the only thing that's going to happen here. If you lost a lot of money shorting KBIO, like I know some people have, you might even be able to sue this guy for, who knows what he actually did. If he did the other crimes at his other company, who knows what he's been doing with KBIO. But either or, you can definitely learn a lot. And it's just an example of, I want more investors to see and realize that these sketchy individuals, the people who are behind these companies, they don't accurately represent the product that they put in their press releases. KBIO, the big product is this drug that pretty much everyone left for dead until Martin acquired the majority of the company. And a lot of short sellers were caught off guard. And the reality of the situation is that we don't even know if Martin cared about what he just took over. I think what he saw was a low float stock, and because he's very, proficient in finance, he could create a short squeeze. I don't know what he did. I don't know what, private emails will say, if they can, dig through his emails and see what he planned and all this stuff. But anytime you see this kind of a run up, you have to really be afraid. Um, these kinds of supernovas, when they're not based on earnings or real products, they just don't last. And this one is very educational. I'm glad that most of my students were very, very safe with this. Some people who broke the rules, especially people who were in other newsletters, other chat rooms, totally were just gunslinging it and lost 6 and 7 figures. My students, I teach people to trade pretty safe. So when this reopens, if this stock ever reopens, it'll be back in the single digits, and it's just a good lesson. Another single digit stock that I'm actually long right now is FSNN. And you can see here it's been spiking a little bit. It had a big volume spike up here into the fives, and now it's kind of a little bit of a breakout here above this 320 level, 330 level. And, I missed the initial spike today. This was due to a big hedge fund, not quite $1 billion hedge fund, but a $700 million hedge fund, Diker, Diker Management, acquiring nearly 20% of this company, up from just roughly 2% of this company for the quarter ended September 30th. So a big jump in their holdings, and this is a very small company. So this is what I like. This is not going to go to $40 like KBIO anytime soon. But I do think that it can retest today's high of the 350s. And if it can test those highs, then guess what? That sets it up for the next resistance here in the fours. I don't think it'll necessarily get to the fives, but even if it gets to the 360s and stops, I'm in the 320s. So there's some nice upside, even if it probably or potentially double tops. I don't know. You can't predict if a stock is really going to break out or not. But what I did have on my side today was that I dip bought it here in the 320s. And it's got a solid multi-day base here at roughly 3-ish. And also it had some support or resistance and now some support here at like 320-ish. So I didn't think there was that much risk buying this in the 320s with this big new hedge fund manager upping his stake, this being a low float stock, and this one having spiked very recently. So billionaire plays or big new investor plays, they're not an exact science. But if you dip buy them near support, like I did, you have some solid upside. And especially if it's a low float stock like this, we saw EFUT do the big spike. Well, not in the past 14 days. But this was when a big investor upped his stake, and it went up quite a bit on that news. And it was choppy. And FSNN is choppy. And I wouldn't suggest trying to necessarily chase it. If it does get to the 360s tomorrow, it could very easily fail right there. And I'll take profits in the 350s or 360s if I have to. But you shorts out there, you're risking way, way, way too much. Because yes, you got the initial spike and you got a fade from 350 down to 3. But then all afternoon, it gradually uptrended. And, with a low float stock with news, and they also had a press release this morning with Panasonic. Good quote from Panasonic, actually. So you have positive news, you have a big new hedge fund investor, and you have tons of support. That is the trifecta, my friends, and that is why I'm long just a small position overnight. I don't want to take too big of a position in this crazy market, but I do believe the odds are pretty good that it can spike more. And, short sellers, even if you're right, I really think you're risking way too much. This can spike, and this has spiked 50 cents in a minute or two. So I believe the odds are on my side. Also, I want to give shout outs to a few students. I'm sorry I was in and out today. But my main enemy, I went on the public record in the New York Post a few weeks ago saying how KBIO I thought would drop big, and sure enough today, so it's kind of not surprising when reporters want to talk to me. And I want to teach. I want to teach about how these sketchy stocks, get pumped up and how you can learn and how you can profit from it. Anyways, Jay Lloyd was in on RWLK in at 1190 out of 1230. Fresh made 63 bucks on $1,000, and that's fine. I highlight these because no account is too small to learn from. There's enough negativity out there where it's like, oh, you have to have $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 in order to trade and be taken seriously. Screw that. Okay, some of my best students start with $1,000 or $2, and now they're millionaires. Alex was in RWLK at 1204 out of 1260. It's quite scary for me. Quite scary for me too, Alex. Ike made 288, and I love this. The Swede, who's one of my most dedicated trading challenge students, says the new stocks to trade is awesome, and he got in as a beta tester today. And I'll be having videos coming soon of stocks to trade. Get excited. It's going to be awesome. But for right now, that's not for sale until 2016. Right now, if you want to invest and make yourself a better trader or investor, invest in some DVDs. Invest in yourself, in your future, and in your education. Watch my How to Make Millions DVD. Watch Tim Grittani's Trading Tickers DVD. If you know nothing about penny stocks, watch my Penny Stocking and Penny Stocking Part 2 DVDs. We have a lot of other DVDs too, but you need to really study. And this 50% off, 70% off sale on this DVD only is going to last for a few more days. We want to reward you guys for the holidays. Also, these newsletters are 30, 40, 50% off for just a few more days. And I'm getting a lot of questions because I talked about how Tim Alerts and Penny Stocking Silver will be increasing in price in 2016. That is only for brand new subscribers. If you're already a monthly subscriber, if you're already an annual subscriber, your price, I'm not going to raise prices on you. This is just to deter people in the future from joining if they just want hot picks. What I found is that people are like, I'm paying, $50 a month or something. I want to make 70 or I want to make 100 so I can afford my rent. And those are not the people that I want to be teaching. If you can't afford your rent, if you can't afford food, do not take my newsletter, okay? This is not a newsletter for hot alerts. There's plenty of other chat rooms and newsletters for that. This is about education. And that's why I have more millionaire students than anybody else, because I focus on education. I have more video lessons, I have more webinars. And that's what my newsletters are all about. And people who seem to really invest in their education, they seem to get that. But people who just want to try and make money like in month 1 or month 2 and not really study, they don't get that. So this is your last time. This is your last chance to lock in these prices, these annual prices. Because even if you are an existing monthly subscriber, you can save a lot on annual. You see that I'm real. You see that my millionaire students are real. They're giving freaking webinars to other Trading Challenge students too. They're in the chat room. You can ask them questions. So after hours, ideally, because during market hours, we have a lot of stocks in play, and that's what we got to focus on. But these are the opportunities that are going on right now. And I believe this tweet that I posted earlier really says it best. If you truly desire success, you're going to have to make sacrifices along the way. Dedication and hard work is required. Is it in you? Taking a page out of Gatorade. This is not something that you just learn in a day. My FSNN play, yeah, I'll probably make some money on it. It's in the 340s. It'll probably retest 350s, if not break out. But either way, it's not going to make me rich. It's not going to grow my accounts. It's just another trade, another good trade. But these are the trades that I take over and over and over again. And if you look at what my millionaire students and I have done, and even if you look at my newest students who are banking, let's see. I bring up Sophion because he just passed 100,000, and he's making, he's up 122,000. My newest 6-figure student, and you see if you look at his trades, I mean, he was shorting this pump and dump. He made 7,700, but aside from that, he makes 2,300. This was actually shorting a pump, NUGN. I shorted that one too. He really likes to short. But notice he's making money 5,000, 3,000, 2,000 at a time. So if you want to be like him, or somebody who makes this kind of money, you're gonna really have to grow your account gradually. And this is a good chart to have. My E-Trade account is a good example. I guess I should have had the screenshot ready. I wasn't prepared to talk about it, but I'll make a future video where I've opened my E-Trade account with $30,000 on February 1st, and now it's coming up on 180,000. So nearly 6 times my money in 10 months, 11 months. Pretty cool. And I want you to think about this. This should be your goal for your trading account. You're not going to make 100,000 in day 1 or week 1 or month 1. But if you gradually take the opportunities over and over again, and you learn the opportunities, the trading tickers, Tim Grittani's DVD has over 3 dozen live trades. Everybody who reads it and watches it loves it. But sadly, too many of you guys aren't putting in the time. Timline is my DVD. Everybody should watch this. This is where I break down the day into different times. So, how am I trading between 9 and 11 a.m. or 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern? And there's different trading rules and mindsets for different times of the day. So studying will set you free. Also, we have the Trader and Investor Summit. This is my latest annual conference. We just got it edited. So those of you who attended, will be sending you out your copies if you pre-ordered it. But the rest of you guys can now get it streaming. So that's it, guys. Today was another crazy day for me just because my arch nemesis has gotten arrested. Ding dong, the witch is dead. He's still innocent and proven guilty until proven guilty. But the point is that with a stock like KBIO, when you're up that much, you can't get arrested. You can't have that. But it was fading every single day. So this kind of big drop, it's not like this is a total surprise. I just thought that he had something else up his sleeve. That's why I wasn't shorting it aggressively in here. I was conditioned to be scared of him. But I'm glad several people were shorting it as it faded. And now, you're going to get a big reward when the stock crashes. So today's another crazy day. I will see you guys in the chat room tomorrow. Take advantage of these holiday sales. Invest in yourself. Invest in education. That is the best single present that you can give to yourself or give to others. Give the gift of education. I love it. I love teaching, guys. I'll see you in the chat room tomorrow. Thanks.